Our next program is telephone bill calculation. We have already done its flowchart. You can see in the right side of the screen the flowchart of telephone bill calculation. The condition is very same. We have just write its program. So I hope you understand its flowchart, the logic behind this uh, problem. So I'm repeating the question again. And that is the for first call, for first 75 calls, the charge is fixed and it is rupees 250. For next 75 calls, the charge is rupees 0.8 rupees per call. That means if the calls number of calls is less than or equal to 75, the charge will be fixed, that is 250. Okay, if the call is 80, so for first 75 the charge is 250, and the for rest calls the charge will be 0.8 rupees per call. That is in 80 first 75 has been calculated, that is 250, and the rest call is 5, then 5 call will be charged as rupees 0.8 per call. So writing our program, first we write our header file, then our main function, then our variables. We have to initialize our variables. So we have to take number of calls. So for that, int n, I take a variable n in which we will store the total number of calls, and another variable that we will store the charge. I have taken charge as a floating value because it may be integer, may be float. So better to take float. So here our initialization has been completed. So we will move up to our program. So for taking the input from the user, we have to give him a message, that is enter number of calls. Whatever the user uh, give the input, it will store in n. Now see our flowchart. After taking input, what we have done, we are checking the condition. So here also we will check condition. So our first condition is if n less than equal to 75. If this is true, then charge will be 250. Then charge will be 250. Then again we are checking condition if this goes false. That else, if n less than equal to 150. If this is true, then charge will be 250 for first call, and for rest call, it will be n minus 75 into 0.80. Okay. If you did not understand the logic of this program, so I'm telling you again. The question is, suppose the number of call is 70. So charge will be 250. If number of call is 75, the charge will be 250. If the number of call is 76, then the charge will be 250 plus rest call. That is, we have done with 75 calls. So how many calls remains? That is 1. So how ones come? This comes by 76 minus 75, that is n minus 75, that is n minus 75 into 0.8. So that is 76. So in this will become 1. Suppose if n is equal to 100, so charge will be 250 for first call, and for remaining call it will be n minus 75, and that will charged as 0.8 rupees per call. So as n is here 100, so that will becomes 25. Now if n is 150, then charge will be 250 for first 75 calls, and for next 75 calls, that is remaining call, it is 75 into 0.80. Now if number of call is 151, so charge will be 250 for first 75, then for next 75, that is 75 to next 75, that is up to 150. So as we see that it is greater than 150, so there must be 75 calls that will be charged as 0.8 rupees per call. So we put 75 into 0.80. Now we have done with our 75 plus 75, that is 150 calls. So now rest calls will be charged as 1 rupees per call. So n minus 150, that is into 1, and so on. So I hope you can understand the logic now. So I'm writing the code. Else if n less than equal to 150 to next 75, that is 225, then the charge will be 250 for first 75 calls, then for next 75 call 0.80. We have done with 150 calls, so rest call, that is n minus 150, that will be charged as rupees 1. Else if it is greater than 225, that is for rest calls, it will be charged as 1.20 per call. So in this case we will write that charge equal to 250 for first 75 calls. For next 75 calls it is 0.8 rupees per call. For next 75 calls it will be 1 rupees per call, and for rest call, that is n minus 225, it will be charged as rupees 1.20 per call. So here we have done with our conditions. Now printing the output, final bill is %f, as charge is a floating value, so for that we have taken %f, and we will print here the charge and return 0. That indicates our program has successfully executed. So we will save it. Telephone bill calculation.c. Now we will run it. So you can see there is no error in this program. I input 75. Listen, see, the final bill is 250. That is true. For first 75 it is 250 fixed. For 5 calls, it is also 250 rupees. Now, for 76 calls, the charge is 250.800003. That is, for first 75 calls, the charge was 250 rupees, and for one call, the charge is 0.8 rupees. That is it. So I hope you can understand this program. Thank you.